Hello, and welcome to Jim and Ben's Movie Adventures. My name is Ben, and with me is...
Alan Grant.
Yeah, it's
back again.
Probably the best choice you could make in this movie.
I think it is. It is. Like, there's a lot of other
Yeah.
characters, or a lot of other people in the movie. I don't know if I'd say characters.
And look, unlike usually, saying the character name probably actually doesn't help people who don't know the movie we're watching, which is Jurassic World Dominion. And I think we started off last episode with an apology, and I think I'm going to demand another one, because this movie blows.
Look, here's the thing. Here's the baffling
and I was wrong.
thing.
Hadn't seen it.
Really?
I had obviously avoided it because of the bad reviews or whatever, and watched it now, and
Here's why we're watching it. The reviews aren't as bad as they should be, and the box office absolutely does not, match what we actually see in the film. And I was like, this is bizarre.
The box office hurt me, man.
It's even more bizarre when you look at the film in hindsight. Do you know what I mean? So that's why we're getting into it today, because I'm like, these things do not make sense, and we must get into
1 +
them
1 is 7.
Yeah. But we're going to get into it, and we're going to really say what actually happens in this film. And as you say, it's rough. This is a rough one. This is a real rough one. But are you ready for a synopsis to get us started?
Throw me this jigsaw puzzle of a synopsis.
All right. 4 years after the destruction of Isla Nublar, dinosaurs now roam the globe, creating conflict while also coexisting with humanity. Although only a handful were actually shown escaping at the end of Fallen Kingdom, the film begins with dinosaurs somehow spread across every continent.
I thought I was insane. I was insane at the start of that movie. I'm like, there are more dinosaurs than humans on this planet now.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, because we see at the end of the previous film that literally one small warehouse full of dinosaurs escapes, and now they're roaming
dinosaurs.
The globe. And they're sick, and they're roaming the globe, right? So anyway, they're spread across every continent in numbers that do not make any sense at all. Claire Dearing, Owen Grady, and a cloned teenager, Maisie Lockwood, live off-grid in the Sierra Nevada forests, where Blue the raptor has somehow had a baby without a mate.
No, iguanas,
iguanas, yeah. Both Maisie and Blue's baby Beta are kidnapped by poachers working for Biosyn Genetics. Biosyn Genetics, hiring poachers. That's not all that they hire. We'll get into that later. Meanwhile, Dr. Ellie Sattler investigates a plague of genetically modified locusts destroying crops, except those using Biosyn seed. She reunites with Dr. Alan Grant, and together they visit Biosyn's research sanctuary in the Dolomites, where Ian Malcolm is now working.
He's just chilling.
As Claire and Owen chase Maisie's trail to the dinosaur black market in Malta, which is a real thing, they ally with pilot Kayla Watts and follow the kidnappers to Biosyn. Inside the high-tech facility, Malcolm helps Ellie and Grant discover the truth about the locusts and Biosyn's illegal cloning experiments. I can't even get to the end of this synopsis.
I'm so angry.
Maisie learns she's not a direct clone, but the genetically engineered child of Charlotte Lockwood, who used her own DNA to give birth. Yes, this happens. When their cover is blown, chaos erupts. The locusts are set ablaze. The Giganotosaurus rampages.
It's a big one.
And the team escapes through the amber mines, because there's also amber mines in this facility, jungles and tunnels. Lewis Dodgson is killed by a pack of spitters, while Dr. Henry Wu, seeking redemption, uses Beta's DNA to halt the locust outbreak. My goodness, when you put it all together, it doesn't get better, it gets worse, Ben.
Look, I'm going to throw out the facts before I lose my mind, and then we'll get into this and my thoughts. And a mistake that I made that is, I think, crucial. Directed by Colin Trevorrow. That guy hits and misses like there is no tomorrow. Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Jurassic World, and Safety Guarantee.
What? He didn't do Rise of Skywalker. He was gonna do Rise of Skywalker, and then J.J. Abrams came in.
He did... What was the other one? He did the middle one, didn't he?
No, he didn't. That was Rian Johnson.
Oh my gosh, I've just blanked. I just threw him in there. That's what this movie did to my brain, man. That's what it did, man. He did all the Jurassic Worlds and
That's why
Safety
there's
Guarantee.
two. That's why there's two of us. He didn't do all the Jurassic Worlds either. I'm wrecking your day right now.
Wikipedia is throwing me down a hole harder
That's
than
why
it ever has before.
That's why there's co-hosts, bro. Like, you know, I can be here to catch you.
Written by Emily Carmichael and Colin Trevorrow, starring Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, Sam Neill, DeWanda Wise, Mamadou Athie, and Omar Sy. Now, here's the mistake I made. There's two versions of this film. I watched the extended edition. And it goes for 161 minutes. A budget of $265 million. Box office, and I mean box office with a capital B, of $1 billion. To be exact, $1.004 billion. This movie, it lightning struck my brain as soon as I realized I hadn't seen it before, and I just started kind of watching it with intent and kind of nuance. And the prologue, man, the prologue is the jankiest looking thing, man. Like, all CGI dinosaurs for, like, the prologue's extended in the extended edition, by the way, and it tells the story of a T-Rex losing a fight. It's like Chekhov's T-Rex, man. And then we go to the snow and we go to the Ellie stuff. This is like 3 movies crammed into one, and none of them pay off. And it's a movie about dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs are shown like the least in this movie. There are more locusts than dinosaurs in this movie. The locust thing is infuriating. They're like, gotta find a way to bring Ellie Sattler back in. You could have just brought her in, man. We would have been happy to see her no matter how you did it. But no, you did it with locusts. And oh my gosh, like I can look past structure. I can look past a lot more things than you usually can, Jim. The structure of this film is insulting. It is insulting on a level that is mind-boggling. My mother is the biggest Jurassic Park fan on the planet. The only movies she rewatches. She refuses to rewatch this film after I spoke about it to her. She goes, yeah, that's the worst one by far. I hate it. I've never watched it again. Like that's, sorry, man. Rant over. I do have more problems, but I'm sure you chose this for a really academic reason.
Look, I kind of did. Here's the thing. I wanted this film to, you know, be the crowning jewel in the Jurassic franchise. I didn't love the first 2 Jurassic Worlds. And when I heard they were reuniting the legacy cast members and bringing them in, I was like, look, there's actually unfinished business there. We definitely want to see that 3 on screen again. I want to see them team up with the new cast from the Jurassic World movies, who I also quite liked, even if I didn't really always like what they were doing in the films. And the film just flubs that premise. Like, they don't meet the characters, the legacy, and then the Jurassic World team don't actually meet each other until the finale of the film. Like, so even the idea that we're going to team these characters up, you know, and that's not what happens. The Jurassic World cast has their own plot, and the Jurassic Park cast has their own plot, and they go in parallel, and then eventually at the very end of the movie they intersect, with the exception of Maisie, who does team up with the Jurassic Park guys. But honestly, I was like, wait, even that thing that is the reason to do it, we don't quite, you know, we don't get that. Like, it was just something that was just baffling to me. And I also, though, just when I saw this film, I was so disappointed, and I was like, this is actually the worst of the Jurassic World trilogy, like, not the best. And I love all of these cast members, old and new, and I really wanted this to work. You know, when you're actually a fan and you want it to work, you will overlook quite a lot, but the film just had so much in it that I'm like, I can't overlook all of this.
There is
like,
not a series of films that I look forward to more than Jurassic Park films. I'm a massive Star Wars nerd. I consume everything Star Wars. But when a Jurassic Park gets announced, or a Jurassic World now, I'm stoked. And I still will be stoked. But this has burnt me. Like, this has hurt me. Because, like, there should be inherent wonder Jurassic World, so Jurassic Park Lost World, the third one not so much, but Jurassic World had the wonder back, even though it probably wasn't what everyone wanted. Those three films capture the wonder. The others miss it, but this misses it so hard by making dinosaurs feel mundane. Like, it's crushing. And you're right, in your synopsis, and I mentioned it, the story inconsistencies between the film before this and the film here, they just didn't care. They wanted to do something, so they did it. And I think for a certain viewing audience, including us, that hurts them. That hurts them a lot. And they could have done almost everything they wanted with just Biosyn having the crater. And you know, like maybe some leaks or some escapes around that area and them dealing in that immediate area. But the whole world? Oh my gosh. Yep, sorry, I ranted again.
No, it's going to happen because the whole thing is really baffling when you look at it. Like, I like to actually, particularly with this film, what is super fascinating is if you hone in on one particular character and what they're trying to achieve. Let's do this for a second. Oh, I've done this in my head. We now need to do this together, right? Like,
Okay.
let's do this for a second with Ellie Sattler. Okay. So Ellie Sattler. First of all, in the Jurassic Park movies, she is a paleobotanist, right? She studies extinct
Plants.
Plants functionally. Great. In Jurassic World, she is a generic scientist of some kind who is also looking into the major corporation of Biosyn. Okay, cool. What's she trying to achieve? Well, she's exploring a locust attack, a giant locust attack on some crops, and she's suspicious of Biosyn because Biosyn, their crops didn't get eaten by the giant locusts, which are clearly genetically bred giant locusts. And what's the company that is known for that? Well, it's Biosyn. So that is A, on the part of Biosyn, really dumb to actually do that. And then B, so Ellie is exploring this. She captures a live locust specimen, and she has that. And then she goes to Alan Grant, who is a paleontologist, right? So he's not actually someone who is involved in whistleblowing, corporate espionage, or gene theory at all.
He is specifically also trying to avoid that world.
He is. So she takes him this locust and she says, you've got to come with me as a witness because we got to find out the shady stuff that Biosyn's doing. And we also need a sample. It's like, what? You need a sample? Why? You have a live locust with you. Can't you just take a sample of that one? What's the difference between that locust and one that you're going to find in the Biosyn facility? It's like, oh, well, you're going to be the witness that proves it's there. Are we going to take a camera? No. Why would people believe that the locust we have two samples from two locusts? We're just telling them that they're going to believe one of them's from the Biosyn facility and one of them's not.
So her argument is like, if they get one from the Biosyn facility, they can prove that's where it came from. But you're right. How do they prove it's from the Biosyn facility once they leave?
Sense.
Also, like Grant, my favorite character Jurassic Park wise, right? He is the most needless character in this film.
Not quite. The only worst one is Ian Malcolm, okay?
But he kind of gets to play the insider, right? Like, he gets to use his jerkness to kind of blend in. But, like, that could have been more effective, is my point too.
Look, it leads us to a different plot point. Let's talk about the Biosyn facility. Ben, what is it? What is this facility in the Dolomite Mountains?
So this makes the locust thing even more absurd because they're literally the only company in the world that could have made those locusts because they're the only one who has access to the dinosaurs, they're the only one who has access to the technology, and they're the only ones lawfully allowed to do all these things. They're the only ones allowed to play with these genetics. And the idea that she couldn't just walk into a government office and go, look at this locust, instead of spending 7 days traveling to somewhere and dodging dinosaurs and go, Biosyn had to make this, it is absurd. Because you've got basically an IT bro campus, like this kind of Silicon Valley dream hub, where they're experimenting on and designing technology and drugs based on dinosaur DNA, extinct animals. They mention about taking bacteria and germs from dinosaurs and using it to retroactively make people healthier. But what they're really doing is none of that. Like, none of that is happening. What they're really doing is just trying to make the money, which we all know that's a thing. This is the worst. Like, these movies are an allegory for corporate greed and in misspent ideologies, right? This is the most on the nose yet worst example of it in any Jurassic Park film.
Let's look at that facility. This is a facility in Italy's remote Dolomite Mountains, right? That is a 2,000 meter minimum elevation, right? In amongst snow-capped peaks. But it also has a jungle basin. But that jungle basin has, plant life that is really more native to North America rather than, say, the Italian mountains. What else has it got? Oh, it's got a swamp. It's got a secret research facility at the bottom of the thing. It's an Apple campus. It's also got undergrads and lecturers who must have to get helicoptered in order to take their classes. Okay, one of those lecturers is Ian Malcolm, who has no skills in dinosaur studies whatsoever. He's a chaotician. What is he doing there? What on earth is he teaching?
Ethics.
He's teaching ethics. Of course he is. It's got what else does it have? Oh, it's got an abandoned it's got a frozen lake on the top. It's got an abandoned amber mine underneath it. Okay, it's a dinosaur preserve where all the dinosaurs are staying. It's also got a hyperloop in it as well. Let's not forget the hyperloop. Where is that going, by the way? Where's the hyperloop
it's in the name.
go?
It's a loop.
Oh, it just loops around, right? So
also no fences.
No fences. But by the way, we do have this technology whereby we've implanted all of the dinosaurs with a chip, and when we send them a command, they go wherever we want. Okay. That sounds great. Do we use that in the movie? No, we don't. We don't use it once.
We use it once to cause danger.
Yeah, we use it once to actually, remove these invisible fences so that we can have an aerial attack. That one time. It would have been useful to use it several other times in the movie. We are not going to do that. Okay, so it just kills me, Ben, this facility, because the truth is the Biosyn facility is whatever it needs to be at any particular moment of this story. It literally exists. Whatever the plot needs it to do is what it does. And then a minute later, it does something else, It actually hurts when I think about it.
And here's the deal, right? Most Jurassic movies focus on the basic premise of go to place. Place is isolated. Place have dinosaur. Dinosaur go wrong. Plot, right? If they'd done the similar thing here, right? Get to that campus a lot sooner. Look at us. We're doing all these amazing things to us. We're not turning into a theme park. These aren't attractions. These are science. We're going to treat them with the respect they deserve. Blah, blah, blah. Shady underworld activity. Shady science underneath it. Dinosaur go wrong. Eat, eat, eat. That would have focused this movie a little bit more and made it infinitely more watchable. Not great, but infinitely more watchable.
It is almost 3/4 of the way through the film before something actually dinosaur goes wrong part happens, right? And that is the last 15 minutes of the film. Like, there are little dino encounters, prior to that.
They're like real world mishaps presented in this movie. No one cares.
There's like that, but yes, the huge sort of dinosaurs going wrong. And even that promise of, like, you think about it, it's like, what if dinosaurs ran rampant at Apple Park? That sounds fun. That sounds insane. We didn't even get that, right? The place is deserted by the time the dinosaurs even get to it. Like, there's no thrills there. Like, it's just, there's all of these boring sequences where they're exploring the abandoned amber mine, or they're, trying to get into the locust room. Why are there locusts? The locusts, no one asked for that. No one said, I want to see cat-sized locusts in a Jurassic World or Jurassic Park movie. This is probably the most negative we've ever gone. I actually feel bad now, but I'm just also like, I wanted to talk about all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't like, just hammering something. But the thing is, this movie just has so many things that I struggled with that I'm like, I need to talk about it. Am I crazy? Because the thing is, you look at the box office and you even look at the reviews and you're like, I feel like I'm an insane person, okay, for actually feeling this way, because clearly the rest of the world just didn't care as much as I did about this
So
particular
that's
thing.
that. In my opinion, that is 5 movies of pretty goodwill. That right. So like, because Jurassic World and Jurassic Park movies are event cinema. They're something you go to see on the big screen because there's big screen moments. You see the dinosaur, you hear and feel the roars. A cinema is the best place to watch those movies. And whether the average cinema going audience thinks about it that way or not, they do know they enjoy those movies at the movies a lot more than, say, even other blockbustery films. They feel right in that scenario, in that setting. Yet what we've got here is almost a betrayal of that trust. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got info on the making of this movie, or the how they get to this point, but it definitely feels like Jurassic World needs needs a Feige, like someone at the top who just can say yes and no and build something cohesive. Because you could have a massive franchise that just didn't want to make money on that movie, but all subsequent movies.
It's also just like when you look at the trajectory of the Jurassic World movies in particular, it moves in a certain direction. The first is, okay, we're doing a soft reboot with Jurassic World. Fallen Kingdom is all about getting the dinosaurs loose on the world. Now, I know and you both said, but hardly any dinosaurs escaped at the end of that movie. There is them packing up Wu's lab and, transporting some samples off to, you know, who knows where. The film doesn't tell us, right? But that plot thread could have absolutely been explored, pulled, pushed a little bit to say that in a future time, lots of people have run this experiment and maybe the dinosaur thing has grown, globally. But this movie doesn't do any of that. And in fact, after the opening kind of, hey, the world has dinosaurs in it now, the next thing the movie does is take us back to a single location where we're going to spend the back half of the movie, just like every other Jurassic movie ever, instead of retaining that global scale. So much as I'm like of two minds, I'm like, well, the global scale was never adequately explained in any way and doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really make sense without a lot more, explanation of exactly how we have such a widespread population now. But let's say they did that. Well, that would have been cool. A global, dino movie where they're integrated into our society and causing problems and all that sort of but they didn't do that. They just went to this Dolomite Mountains Biosyn facility and they're like, we're going to do most of the film here, and kind of abandoned that premise, which again just left me going, I'm baffled. I'm just baffled.
I thought about this, and look, you've warned me in the past, like trying to rewrite something to make it better can be dangerous, and it's a thought exercise only. I agree, but I was thinking about this, right? This movie, in my opinion, should have been pretty simple. You can have the worldwide dinosaur thing. You can explain it away any way you want. The main action of the first 2/3 of the movie is the originals and our new people, Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, work for a company that is all about trying to corral those dinosaurs and put them into a sanctuary. There is another company who's also trying to corral dinosaurs worldwide and steal them for research. The first 2/3 of that movie is a race to get dinosaurs. They don't have to be billions of dinosaurs, but there has to be a few important dinosaurs. They're trying to save them, correct them, whatever like that. At the end of the second third, they lose. The heroes are down and out. The Biosyn has got the government contracts. They've convinced everyone they're the good guys. They take all the dinosaurs to their facility. The last third is our heroes breaking in to try and prove Biosyn's not true, to prove Biosyn's evil, and to save the dinosaurs. Everything goes wrong because of conflict between the two sides. Biosyn facility falls apart. Dinosaurs wreak their rampage. You have a fun, fast, energetic film. you get to use all your characters, because what company wouldn't grab all those specialists, all those people who experience these things, to use them to do the good thing, right? And you could even have a couple people from past films, like Muldoon could have come back and be working for the bad guys. You could have done all these cool things, and yet I'm almost hyperventilating. I'm almost losing my breath. Like, this movie, I shouldn't be able to fan write it better, and I think I have just then.
Look, I got a couple of projects you'd be very interested in, but look, there are many ways you could have gone with this particular film that I think would have been an improvement, which is why, again, I think the key word here is baffling. It is baffling that we went with this version. It's baffling that, it's not about one choice. It's about a cascading, waterfall of choices that go together in a way that creates something that, in my opinion, is too big to overlook, But again, box office reviews at the time, it wasn't too big to overlook. People overlooked it. People rolled with it. And I just don't quite understand why, because it when you look at it, I'm like, it was worse than that. We understand that, right? Do we, maybe with time we understand that? Or I don't know. It's also difficult because, I love the cast and I love the characters, old and new, right? I love Maisie, I love Claire, I love Owen. I think they're great. I think Barry's great, right? Obviously love the original Jurassic Park cast. I think they're fantastic. So is it just that? Did we sail through on a love for this IP and for these characters? And was the studio so confident that that was the only hook that they needed, that they just threw the jello at the wall,
Look, did you watch the extended edition, or did you watch the original?
I watched the original. I don't think I watched the extended.
I just want to go through what they added or expanded, right? So the prologue apparently is longer. Dodson,
Well, I think my understanding, because I don't think I've seen the extended, but I have seen there is a prehistoric prologue.
That's the one I'm talking about, as the horrible prologue.
That's not in the theatrical.
Oh my gosh, it's awful. It's a 10-minute.
Well, I've seen it because they released it as an online extra, and then it was this isn't in the movie. This would have been very expensive to not put in the movie.
Well, it's in the extended edition. The poacher villain, Dodson, gets more time, apparently, on screen. The first act apparently is restructured because they felt that it was too janky otherwise to make it smoother. I haven't seen it beforehand, but I can't imagine they did a great job. Claire's escape from the raptors in Italy is expanded. Apparently, the T-Rex story gets more in it. So the fight, he kind of gets, in the extended version, he gets knocked out and kind of wakes back up and attacks the thing and pushes it onto the claws. So there's an extended fight between him and the Gigantomax. You see Blue looking after Beta a lot more. Ellie Sattler meeting the farmers is extended, and meeting Grant is extended, giving them more time to kind of establish themselves. But I'm talking an extra 16 minutes of total film time. So when they extend and breathe and added those bits, I don't know how much they've extended them. Again, haven't seen the original.
From what you've said, it doesn't sound like there's too much extra there going on.
It feels like they've added seconds to scenes, except for the prologue, which is probably where the majority of that 16 minutes comes from.
I think ultimately, I guess this was a disappointment. I feel like I said, we've been harsher than we've ever been on this podcast, which I'm on two minds about, because I don't feel like we have an overly harsh style. But at the same time, I was like, I needed someone to actually look at this and basically say, Jim, you're not insane and you're not alone, because when I look at the more generalized reactions, and particularly that box office, I felt very alone. And I was like, I was half expecting that you were going to be like, Jim, you're crazy. You completely missed the mark, and this film is fine,
Look, there are some positives, and you mentioned one. The actors and the characters are great. They know what their role is. The old characters slip back into it so perfectly well. Jeff Goldblum's Jeff Goldblum, but even Sam Neill, he's born to be Grant and all that sort of stuff. And it's good actually to see more of Ellie Sattler. We really only got the first film and a cameo in the third. Like, so it's really good to see more of her with agency and kind of knowledge and being kind of important. There are times where the dinosaurs look amazing. And you know, that's part of it. There are also times where they don't look great. There are things in this movie that people who go to see a Jurassic Park movie get. And that's where it makes its money. That's where it kind of finds its audience, and that's where it kind of gets where it's going with its box office. Because it does have kind of the main things people show up to a movie for. I just don't think they're the best example of it within this franchise, and there's a lot of guff around it. I do want to bring up one character in this film that feels utterly pointless, and I don't know why she does the things she does and the motivation. And I also want to bring up our main villain, our pilot in this movie.
Kayla.
Sorry, what was her name?
Kayla.
There's no reason for this character to exist in this film. You could have had generic pilot A drive them, and her motivation is, it's there. She saw them take the girl and she felt bad for not doing something about it. But like, the way she commits to possibly ending her life in this film doesn't make sense with the rest of her character around it. We're not given a really good backstory reason for why she would go out on a limb, for example, to do this. And then, yeah, sorry if you've got comments on her.
It's just another example of a character who we are told she's tough, she's gritty, she's just totally, you know, this person who's seen the underside of life. She's the cleanest, she's the most well presented, she's the most, you know, well spoken, tough, somehow tough black market smuggler cargo pilot that you've ever seen in life. It just, you put these things together and it's like, okay, what we're told about you and what you present us with are two things that do not mesh. They're not the same thing, right? We have a character that feels very insincere. The other thing is, this film like doesn't actually have room for more characters. We've got,
it doesn't have room for the characters it has.
It doesn't have the room for the original characters that we're trying to serve. Like, you know, we've got Maisie, we've got Grant, we've got Ellie, we've got Claire, we've got Owen, we've got Barry from a previous Jurassic World movie, we've got Dodgson, our villain, okay? We've got Ramsey, who is also a new character, you know, thrown in here. And we spend an awful lot of time with this new character, Kayla, who, as you say, doesn't actually provide us with too much new. I'm like, we have so many characters we have to service already, and we didn't have to add another one, you know? So, and it's just one of those things where it's like, they chose to do it. And I don't know why they chose to do it, but they chose to do it. So this is one where you would hope there is a great behind the scenes story for how this film ended up the way it was, you know, whether it was schedule, whether it was actor availability, that they were trying to do things quickly, whether they had a release date that they were trying to hit and they didn't, you know, have a script ready to go. I don't know what it was. And there seems to be nothing out there to say that there was any kind of problem behind the scenes. But in a way, I'm like, I kind of hope that there was a problem, because that would explain how we ended up with some of these things, you know, these choices. Is that they were scrambling, they were trying to fix problems quickly and on the fly, and they had to just do stuff, you know, and this is the best they could do. And I'm like, okay, well, that would make sense. I would get that, you know, if we were building the film in that way due to whatever crazy behind the scenes constraints we had.
My last thing about this film is a villain. I've brought up villains many times in this podcast. I have villain problems with a lot of movies. I think they can be done better. This villain was obviously set up to be a Steve Jobs, Elon Musk type. And the I'm right, you're wrong, I'm the visionary, I see the world the way it is. And when push comes to shove, they immediately backtrack on that character and make him this weak, kind of gutless, kind of like just wants the money guy, right? He's not a visionary. He's just trying to escape and all that sort of stuff. Like, I think that villain should have been stronger character-wise. Like, not character as in written, but as in like internal fortitude. Because that character has lived in a world where he has never, ever been told he's wrong. He's never been wrong. He's been so successful at everything. He should have gone down with that ship to the very last second thinking he was right. And that would have been satisfying as an audience, I think, more than the ending we get with the Dilophosauruses in the metal tube, right? Like, he could have been so much more. He could have been a bit creepier. He could have been slimier. He could have been all these things. We have enough real world examples to copy. So I don't know how they kind of skip out and kind of weakened that character like that in the end. We didn't need to know him too much. You can get that with the airtime we have. I think it could have been better because you've had a few different versions. You've had the idealist. You've had Hammond, right? You've had someone who thought they were doing the right thing and bringing some magic to the world. You then had like the InGen board who's like, we need to recoup our losses. We need to make something out of this disaster. You then kind of have Jurassic World. We did it. We got rid of all the mistakes, our hubris, but the leader in this isn't a villain. He's, again, one of those kind of millionaires, but he's a empathetic billionaire and he cares and that sort of stuff. So we've seen every version of it except the one I thought we were getting that we didn't get in the end.
Yeah, look, add the villain problem to the other problems of the film. And, like, I don't know, I think ultimately, much as like, yes, I don't like going negative, it's not really our thing, I am at least pleased that I'm not an insane person. And
we're not negative for the sake of it. We're not just saying it's bad, we don't like. We have our reasons. We've articulated our reasons. And look, I've mentioned a couple of good things we had, and here's the deal. I'll watch the next Jurassic World movie because I want it to be good.
I will too, but no, look, that's not true. I'm such a Jurassic person, I'd watch it anyway.
Yeah.
But I will definitely watch it because David Koepp's back, and he's the guy who, he knows Jurassic. He, wrote the first one and The Lost World. So I am super excited to get back.
Hopefully we get a bit of that kind of light to medium horror back. That kind of
it's coming. Absolutely. Like, David Koepp, he's got good things in my opinion. So I'm excited, but we'll see. Of course, we haven't seen it yet, so we'll see. And we don't usually date ourselves on this podcast, but we just did. Look, I am hoping you don't have Retribution in store with what is going to be your pick coming next, but
here's the deal. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell you how I picked this movie.
All right. Well, before you do, tell the good people of the interwebs where they can find us so that then I can find out what you have in store for us.
Jim and Ben's Movie Adventures. It's the name. It's what you use to find us. It's the key to our DNA. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, and you can find us on iTunes. Jim and Ben's Movie Adventures. You can also find us on social media, Jim_and_Ben for Instagram, and Jim and Ben's Movie Adventures on TikTok. Hey, we're a little tiny podcast. We do this genuinely for the love of it, but thank you for the few people who have been subscribing lately. It does lighten our hearts a little bit to know that people are kind of clicking that subscribe button. They're clicking that like button and leaving a comment every once in a while. So if a few more of you could do that, we'd really appreciate it. You can tell us what your favorite Jurassic Park or Jurassic World movie is. You can tell us if you're looking forward to the new one, or you can comment on any of the movies we've done previously, or you can suggest any movies we should do in the future. Thank you so much for supporting us, and thank you so much for your continued support. I really look forward to seeing what you do. Now, I was going to choose my movie exactly based on how this podcast went. I had a Retribution film, and I had a film that I thought, this is a good movie, we should watch this movie. This podcast has gone well. We're on the same page. I think you picked this movie for the right reasons, so I'm gonna push the Retribution aside. That movie, it's not gone. It's in my pocket. It's ready, but we're not going to use it this time. I am obsessed with this movie. I think it was my first foray into what I would call serious film. It wasn't an adventure movie. It wasn't an action or a sci-fi or a fantasy movie. It wasn't about amazing characters and amazing situations. It's about average men in one room discussing a very important topic. There also happens to be 12 of them, and a bunch of them are angry. So we will be watching 12 Angry Men.
All right. So very different, very different.
Very different.
But yeah, look, I'm looking forward to it. I like a bit of 12 Angry Men. I've seen the play. I don't think I've actually seen the film.
I was in the play in my
maybe
grade 12 drama class.
Well, there you go. How angry were you?
I was like middle angry. I wasn't like angry, but I was middle angry.
Well, great. We'll look out for the middle angry juror when we actually check out 12 Angry Men. Thank you for letting us get a little angry as we watch Jurassic World Dominion. And hopefully you're not going to walk away angry, but we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.